felt like your heart needed a little magic to mend? What if a whisper, a shimmer, a delicate touch could truly heal what's broken within you? Step into a world where a fairy's gentle presence isn't just a fantasy, but a comforting embrace for a heart in distress. This is your serene escape. The fairy's gentle touch, healer of broken hearts. Hello friends! Tonight, let's listen to a story. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and let your imagination fly with this tale. In a quiet village hidden behind green hills, there lived a young man named Arka. He was known as kind-hearted and always willing to help anyone in need. But in recent months, his smile had disappeared. The people of the village now saw only an empty gaze and heavy steps that carried sorrow wherever he went. Arka had once loved someone deeply, Alara, the girl who had been by his side since childhood. They had grown up together, playing in the meadows, laughing by the river, and dreaming beneath the stars at night. But fate had separated them too soon. Alara had fallen ill and left the world behind, leaving a wound in Arka's heart that felt impossible to heal. From that moment, Arka seemed lost. He often wandered to the edge of the forest, sitting beneath an ancient tree, staring at the sky without a word. Night after night, he hoped to find something that could ease the emptiness within him. But the only answer was silence. And with each passing day, his sorrow grew heavier, until one quiet night, when the full moon glowed above and a gentle breeze stirred the air, something strange and beautiful happened. As Arka sat beneath the old tree, a pale blue light appeared among the leaves. The light shimmered, brighter and brighter, until it took shape, a tiny figure with crystal-clear wings. It was a fairy. She had a soft face, her eyes glowing with warmth, and every beat of her wings left trails of light like falling stars. Arka stared in disbelief, wondering if grief had finally woven an illusion before his weary eyes. Arka, the fairy's voice, was as gentle as the whisper of wind. I have heard the cries of your heart, even though you've never spoken them aloud. I have not come to erase your memories, but to mend the wound that binds you. Arka's tears welled up as he whispered, Who are you? I am Lyra, she replied with a tender smile, a guardian fairy of hearts. My task is to help those lost in sorrow find their light again. She extended her tiny, glowing hand. When her fingers touched Arka's chest, warmth flowed into him. It felt like morning sunlight touching the cold dew, like clear water washing over an old wound. For the first time in so long, Arka felt something filling the emptiness inside him. The world around them began to change. Wildflowers bloomed, though the night was still dark, radiating a gentle glow. Night birds began to sing melodies never heard before. Even the stars seemed to draw closer, as though watching this moment of wonder. Arka closed his eyes, feeling her touch. I thought my heart would never heal, he whispered hoarsely. Lyra gazed at him with deep compassion. Wounds never truly vanish. Arka, they will always be part of you. But wounds can also be windows, places where the light comes in. You don't have to forget Ilara, because your love for her was never wasted. You only need to learn to remember her in peace, not in pain. Arka trembled, his heart moved by her words. For so long, he had tried to forget, to bury the pain, but that had only left him empty. Lyra's words awakened him to something new. Remembering didn't always mean hurting. Remembering could also mean celebrating the love that once was. Lyra then led him deeper into the forest. With every step they took, the world transformed into one of wonder. Trees glowed as if lit from within, rivers shimmered like liquid silver, and thousands of flower petals floated through the air without ever touching the ground. It was as though they had stepped into a dream. I want to show you something, Lyra said. She guided Arka to a small lake, its water clear as glass. Its surface reflected the night sky. but also something more, memories of Arka and Ilara together. He saw himself and Ilara laughing by the river, running through wildflower fields, sitting side by side beneath the stars. Tears streamed down his face again, but this time they were not only of sorrow. Warmth accompanied every memory, like a flame rekindled in his chest. Lyra touched the water's surface, and the reflection shifted. Now Arka saw himself sitting alone, his face heavy with grief. Beside him appeared a faint light in the shape of Ilara, smiling gently. "She never truly left you," Lyra whispered. "True love always stays within the heart, even when bodies part ways." Arka sobbed, but a small smile broke through his tears. I can feel it. She's still with me." Lyra nodded. "That is the power of love. It doesn't disappear. It only changes form, and your heart, Arka, can sing again." That night, Lyra not only healed Arka's pain but also taught him how to carry his sorrow without losing hope. They spoke long about the meaning of loss, the strength of memory, and the courage to move forward while still carrying love within. As dawn began to break, Lyra knew her time was short. She stood at the edge of the forest, her wings gleaming in the golden light. "I cannot always stay by your side, Arka," she said softly. "But whenever you feel alone, remember this touch. Remember that your heart has the power to heal, and you are never truly alone." She touched his chest once more, leaving behind a faint glow in the shape of a flower that slowly faded. "That is a reminder that I was here, and that your heart will always find its way back to hope." Arka smiled, this time genuine, his eyes glowing once more. "Thank you, Lyra. You've given me something no one else could piece." With a final flutter of her radiant wings, Lyra rose into the sky, her light blending into the morning sun. Yet her voice lingered in Arka's ear, a whisper on the breeze. "A broken heart can sing again. You only need to listen." From that day forward, Arka's life began to change. He still carried his wound, but now he also carried light. He started smiling again, helping the people of his village, even humming softly as he worked in the fields. Those who heard his voice felt a calmness wash over them, as though touched by a quiet miracle. Arka knew it was Lyra's touch still living within him, and each night when he looked at the stars, he whispered, "I'm all right. Thank you, Ilara. Thank you, Lyra." His life was no longer only about loss but about finding hope within sorrow, and he believed that someday, when his own time came, he would meet those he loved again in a world filled with light. The Moon's Secret Song, a journey to the realm of light. In a quiet little village, far from the bustle of cities, lived a young girl named Aluna. Since childhood, she had always been enchanted by the moon. Every night, while other children were asleep, she would sit by the window of her small wooden house, gazing at the moon that hung gracefully in the sky. To her, the moon was not merely a light in the darkness, it was a companion, a silent friend who sang to her in whispers of a lullaby she could never fully understand. To the villagers, the moon was nothing more than a faithful lantern of the night. But to Aluna, it was alive, filled with secret melodies. She often thought it spoke directly to her, though no one believed her tales. Still, she clung to that quiet conviction, for she could feel the truth of it deep within her heart. One night, when the world seemed utterly still, the air unmoving, the crickets, silent, Aluna heard the song more clearly than ever before. The melody drifted down from the heavens, a haunting tune, both beautiful and mysterious. Its tone was soft, soothing, but beneath it pulsed a beckoning call. The moon was calling her. Closing her eyes, she surrendered to its music. And when she opened them again, a silver light descended from above. It formed a shining staircase that floated before her window. Her heart raced, but she felt no fear. Guided by the song, she placed her foot upon the glowing step. Each tread was lighter than the last, and soon she was rising higher and higher, leaving her little village far below. At the top, she stepped into a world unlike anything she had ever dreamed. It was a realm bathed in living light. The ground glowed, flowers sparkled like tiny lanterns, and beams of silver danced through the air as if they themselves were alive. Above her stretched a sky filled with stars, nearer than she had ever seen, shimmering in time with the melody still echoing in her ears. From the heart of the moonlight came a woman, clad in flowing white robes that shimmered like silver. Her hair glowed with the same pale light, and her eyes held the stillness of eternity. She smiled softly at Aluna. "Welcome," she said, her voice as melodious as the song itself. "I am Leora, keeper of the moon's secret song. You heard our call, which means your heart is ready for the journey that lies ahead." Leora took her hand gently, leading her along a path of stardust. Flowers of light swayed to the rhythm of the moon's song, their petals opening as Aluna passed. The girl felt a warmth in her chest, as if the melody had entered her very being. Yet, Leora warned her, every soul who hears the moon's song must be tested. These trials are not of the body, but of the heart. Aluna nodded, though fear pricked her courage. Their first trial came at the edge of a silver lake. Its surface was still, a perfect mirror. When Aluna peered into it, she did not see her present self. Instead, she saw a reflection steeped in doubt and loneliness, a version of herself consumed by fear. The shadow sneered, whispering, "You are nothing special. Only a foolish village girl lost in dreams. No one believes you." The words pierced her like arrows. For a moment, she faltered, but then the moon's song rose within her, steady and clear. Gathering her strength, Aluna met the gaze of her shadow. "Perhaps I am ordinary," she said, "but my heart believes in the light. And that is enough." The reflection shattered, dissolving into ripples of silver light, and the lake glowed brighter than ever before. Leora smiled. "You have passed your first trial. Only those who trust in their own light can banish the darkness." The next trial awaited in the Forest of Light, where towering trees shimmered with radiant bark and glowing leaves. As they entered, whispers surrounded Aluna, confusing her, pulling her in circles. The path blurred, vanishing beneath her feet. Fear clawed at her chest, but then she remembered the song. Taking a deep breath, she began to hum, her voice trembling at first but soon strong. The forest responded, trees swayed, the light pulsed, and a hidden path revealed itself before her. Guided by her song, she emerged from the forest unharmed. "You are learning quickly," Leora said with quiet pride. "The song of the moon is not only to be heard, but to be embraced with your heart." Their journey continued until they reached the highest peak of the realm, where a palace of crystal silver stood in radiant splendor. Inside, thousands of scrolls of light floated in the air, each one pulsing with gentle glow. "These are the ancient songs," Leora explained. "They are the whispers of the moon, carried since the dawn of the world." Aluna reached for one scroll, and as her hand touched it, she was enveloped by voices thousands upon thousands, speaking as one. "We are the song that guards the dreams of humankind. Every dream, however small, is part of the great light, and every soul who dares to dream is that light itself." Tears filled Aluna's eyes. At last she understood. The moon's song was not only for her, but for all humanity. It was a reminder that no dream is wasted, no light too faint to shine. But her time in the realm of light was drawing to a close. Leora approached her gently. "Aluna, your journey here must end. But remember, the song of the moon is not for you alone. Carry this melody back to your world, so that every restless heart may find peace." She placed a silver, crescent-shaped pendant around Aluna's neck. Whenever you sing the melody, the moon will be with you. Stepping back onto the shining staircase, Aluna felt the world shift. In an instant, she was once again at her window, the dawn just breaking. Yet the pendant remained upon her chest, glowing faintly in the morning light. She smiled, knowing all she had seen was true. From that night on, Aluna often sang softly, and whenever she did, the villagers felt a calmness wash over them, though they could not understand why. Her voice seemed to soothe their hearts, as if the moon itself was singing through her. And whenever Aluna looked to the night sky, the moon gleamed more brightly, as though in gratitude. She was no longer alone, for she had become part of the moon's eternal song, part of the light that connects human dreams with the secrets of the universe.
The Secret of the Star Watcher, A Lullaby's Journey. In a small village nestled at the foot of a mountain, where the night sky was always clear and stars, scattered like pearls upon a black ocean, lived a young man named Ardian. The villagers called him the Star Watcher, for every night, after working in the fields with his grandfather, he would climb the highest hill just to gaze at the heavens. He always carried a small handmade telescope crafted by his grandfather, though its lenses had long grown dim with age. To Ardian, the object was not just a tool but a companion, one that had always accompanied him in peeking into the secrets of the cosmos. Since he was a child, Ardian had often heard something he could not explain. Whenever he looked at the stars, there was a faint melody drifting to him, a lullaby so ancient that it seemed to come from beyond time itself. It was soothing, yet laced with mystery, and though it was never clear, its rhythm whispered in his heart like a call waiting to be answered. Sleep, restless soul, follow the light, follow the song. That was the impression it always left upon him. The villagers thought he was merely dreaming or imagining things, but Ardian never cared. The older he grew, the stronger the melody became, until he was certain it was not just a sound, it was a call, a message from the stars themselves, guiding him towards something hidden, something greater. One night, under a full moon, when the wind fell silent and the forest lay still in deep slumber, the lullaby reached him more clearly than ever before. Its tone resonated through his very bones, leaving him trembling. Ardian looked to the sky and saw one brilliant star shimmering brighter than the rest. It flickered 3 times before releasing a silver light that fell directly upon the hill. Where he stood, the light coalesced into a glowing circle, swirling as if inviting him in. Ardian held his breath, his heart caught between awe and fear. Yet something within him already knew he was meant for this. Without hesitation, he stepped forward into the light. In an instant, the world around him changed. No longer was he standing upon the grassy hill with pine trees swaying around him. He found himself instead in a vast meadow filled with luminous flowers. Their petals glowed softly, casting a gentle light upon the ground. And above stretched a night sky so close it seemed he could touch the stars with his fingertips. But these stars were not still. They moved gracefully, dancing in patterns to the same lullaby, now echoing in his ears as clearly as a choir of voices. From the moonlight emerged a figure, a woman with long flowing hair that shimmered like a galaxy, her eyes reflecting constellations that shifted and sparkled as she blinked. She smiled at Ardian with warmth. "Welcome, Star Watcher," she said, her voice carrying the beauty of a song. "I am Lyra, keeper of the lullaby. The melody you have heard since childhood was no dream. It was a call, a summons. You have been chosen to journey into the deepest mysteries of the cosmos, to hear the secrets whispered by the stars themselves. Ardian could hardly believe her words, but his heart told him it was true. Lyra extended her hand, and together they walked upon a glowing path. Around them rose crystalline trees, each trembling in harmony with the rhythm of the universe, while rivers of silver flowed, reflecting memories as if they were mirrors of time. As Ardian gazed into one river, he saw a vision of himself as a lonely child on the hill, softly humming along to the lullaby he could not understand. His chest tightened, for he realized the song had always been with him, guarding him even in solitude. "Why do the stars whisper?" Ardian asked softly. "What are they trying to tell us?" Lyra's smile was gentle but mysterious. "The stars are ancient souls. They carry stories from the dawn of creation. The lullaby is their language, meant to soothe, to guide, and to reveal truths. You will understand its meaning when your heart is ready." They came upon a great gate shaped like a radiant harp. When Lyra plucked one of its strings, the gate swung open, revealing a sea of stars swirling like a living ocean. Ardian gasped, overwhelmed by the sight, for it was as though he stood within a cosmic symphony, each star a note, each constellation a melody, all joining together in the eternal lullaby. Before stepping further, Lyra's expression grew solemn. "Every star watcher who enters this dream must pass a trial. The lullaby is more than music. It is a key, but if your heart falters, you will lose yourself within endless dreams." The trial came as they reached the shore of the sky lake. Its waters were dark as obsidian, yet glittered with countless reflections of starlight. When Ardian peered into its depths, shadows emerged, visions of loneliness, of losing his loved ones, of being mocked for his dreams. Voices slithered around him, hissing, "You are alone. No one believes in you. Forget the stars. Give in to the silence." A crushing weight pulled him toward the water, threatening to drag him under. Despair coiled around his heart. But then he remembered the melody that had always stayed with him, summoning what courage he had left. Ardian began to hum, his voice shaky but steadying with each note. The lullaby poured from his lips, merging with the voices of the stars. Light flared around him, warm and unyielding. The shadows dissolved, and the lake turned clear, reflecting his face not with fear, but with newfound confidence. Lyra's eyes glimmered with pride. "You have passed your first trial. Only those who trust in the light within themselves can overcome the darkness." Their journey continued, climbing a staircase of light that spiraled into the heavens. At its peak awaited the celestial observatory, a place said to hold the truths of the cosmos. Scrolls of pure radiance floated around them, each containing a fragment of star song, each carrying wisdom from beyond time. Ardian reached for one, and as his hand touched it, he was overwhelmed by the sound of millions of voices whispering in harmony. "We are the witnesses of time," the voices said. "We sing so that mankind does not forget. Every soul is a light, and every light has its place among the stars." Tears streamed down Ardian's cheeks. At last, he understood. The lullaby he had heard all his life was not merely a song, it was a message. A reminder that no matter how small, every human being was part of the greater whole. Each life a star shining in its own right. Lyra watched him with tenderness, Her smile tinged with sorrow and joy. That is the secret the stars wish to share. They want you to remind the world that no light is ever in vain. But dawn was approaching. Lyra turned to him with a soft gaze. Your time here is ending. The world you came from awaits. The lullaby was never meant for you alone, Ardian. It is for every restless soul, every heart that has forgotten its own light. She placed a small, glowing lyre into his hands. Take this. Whenever you play its strings, the world will hear the whispers of the stars. Ardian stepped once more into the circle of light, and in the blink of an eye, he was back on his familiar hilltop. The sun was rising, but the lyre remained in his grasp, radiant as ever, his chest filled with gratitude, for he knew this was no dream. From that day forward, Ardian was no longer only the star watcher. He became the guardian of the lullaby. Whenever he strummed a lyre, its melody drifted through the village, soothing the hearts of those burdened with worry, comforting those who had forgotten hope. To the villagers, it felt as though the stars themselves had descended to sing for them. And whenever Ardian looked to the night sky, the stars shone brighter, twinkling in rhythm as if thanking him. He smiled, for he knew he was never alone again. He was part of the eternal song of the cosmos, part of the endless light guiding weary souls toward peaceful dreams.